again, everybody, and welcome back to Milwaukee for continuing coverage of these World Curling Championships, and appropriately enough, with Swiss music and the Alpenhorn in the background. We are going to see Canada play Switzerland, but we also saw Canada, Ray Turnbull, play Switzerland this morning. Pat Ryan, in a very important game for him to stay alive.
Well, Pat Ryan did what he had to do, Vic. He had to beat the undefeated Switzerland team, and he did it. And I talked to them after the game. They feel very good about their win, and they certainly, by no stretch of the imagination, feel that they're out of this thing. You know, they feel they're right back in it. They're curling well. I believe they are.
All right, let's just take a look at some of the highlights from that game, and they stole two, didn't they?
They sure did. You can see that in this situation here, it's a wide shot. These shots are very, very difficult, and Pat gets out to that ice and keeps his weight up, which he hasn't been doing a little bit all week. There's the hit, and that's it.
And Pat Ryan beat previously undefeated Switzerland to knock them out of a tie for first place with Scotland. As we check the standings now, Scotland all alone in first place, the only remaining unbeaten rink, and they'll play this afternoon. Switzerland now 4-1, followed by Norway and Denmark. Sweden, Canada's 2-3. They really can't afford any more losses, along with France and Italy. So we saw Ryan play Switzerland this morning. Now it's Canada and Heather Houston playing Switzerland, and Cristina Lestander from Bern, very experienced, has lots of World Championship experience.
It's kind of a must game for her as well, but you just really have to be impressed with the Canadian team. In particular, we know they have a great front end, and they played well all year long and last year, but Lorraine Lang continually keeps impressing me. Game after game, she plays better and better. I think Heather Houston has struggled a little bit. Yep. When she gets it on track, look out. This team's going to be very, very tough.
Well, you talk about Lorraine Lang, the Canadian third. She has played very well, over 90% last night in her game, and she's standing by now with Linda Moore.
Lorraine, you had a terrific game last night. You looked very comfortable on the ice. How are you feeling?
Well, I was feeling pretty good about the ice last night. It was quite quick and fairly true, and it was a lot easier to hit last night. So I felt pretty good that, you know, if I hit the broom, I was going to make the shot, and it was a little bit different than other games.
How is it this year? You had last year's experience in Glasgow. Is that helping you this year?
I think a little bit. We know a little bit more what to expect, and we know how well we have to play, and we have to play very consistent. And I think it's helping us that it's a little bit more Canadianized this year than it was last year.
Right. Now, you play Switzerland today. They have some experience. They were on the World Championship team of 1983. What do you look for today?
I think we're going to try and play the same sort of game. If the ice has got some good berries in it today, I think Heather will want to play a few aggressive ends against them. But basically, early in the game, I think we'll be playing it wide open.
Have a good game.
So when we return to the Mecca in these 1989 World Curling Championships, it's round 11, Switzerland against Canada here in Milwaukee.
Air Canada's executive class. Convenience, comfortable, almost completely effortless. Some say it's the way business travel was meant to be.
You give your all to all you do. Don't settle for less from your shampoo. Wash and go First Plus.
To get great-looking hair, you don't need separate shampoo and conditioner. Get it together. In just one step, get your hair clean, more manageable.
There's one that does the work of two.
For manageability you can't get from shampoo alone.
Wash and go.
Shampoo plus conditioner in one.
First Plus.
I don't feel good.
Heartburn.
My stomach's upset. Yes.
It hurts.
Feels burning.
Pepto-Bismol. Pepto-Bismol is proven stomach medicine. Its effective formula coats your stomach and starts to work right away. This special coating formula puts soothing medication between you and the upset to bring you relief. Give your stomach troubles good medicine. Pepto-Bismol.
If you think you don't have time for a full hot breakfast, take a look at this. McCain's Super Fast Breakfast. Just pull off the tab, pop it in your microwave, and in just 3 minutes, it's ready. A full and delicious breakfast. Put a little zip in your morning with McCain Microwave Breakfast. They're ready in just 3 minutes. Superfast breakfast from McCain. The full breakfast you thought you didn't have time for.
We're in Milwaukee, and we're not alone. Several hundred Canadians have made the trip to the Mecca for these World Curling Championships. I have a feeling they're from the West, don't you? And hundreds more Canadians are expected by the weekend and the semifinals. Here are the scores from this morning's 10th round. Men's competition, Denmark in an extra end beat Norway in Igel Ramsfell, and it was France over Italy. On the women's side, it was Germany beating the U.S. rink of Jan Legacy, and Sweden gets by Scotland and their rink 7-5. Now, here are the other games in this 11th round here at the Mecca, as well as the game between Switzerland and Canada. There you see France and Finland in women's competition. Norway will play Denmark, while in men's competition, Sweden against Scotland, who are currently now the only undefeated men's rink, and the USA will play Germany. Jim Vukic from Seattle looking for his first win. Switzerland has won the coin toss, and this is the rock of the lead for Switzerland. This is Catherine Peterhart.
And I think the first few ends they'll play it quite open. Swiss is putting the rocks on the side of the house, but right in, not putting up guards.
Tracy Kennedy, the Canadian lead, and this is her second stone. Here in the first end.
Looking for a hit and a bit of a flop to center if they can.
Good.
The ice is quite swinging. You see they're taking about a foot of ice for the takeout.
"26-year-old Catherine Peterhans. She's a secretary with UEFA, the European Football Association.
Sidlang. Yeah.
Sponsored by
My favorite company, Toblerone. They even have the joy of seeing it made in Neuchâtel, Switzerland.
In fact, they've been, the Swiss rink, both men's and women, have been handing out Toblerones as gratuities in the restaurants and the hotels around town.
You haven't given me any yet, Vic.
I know you've been asking, though. Diane Adams in her first stone, the Canadian second.
Teams just exchanging stones. That's a good position for the Canadian rock, just in front of the rings.
The Swiss second is 29-year-old Ingrid Thulin. She's a crafts teacher. This entire Swiss rink has had some World Championship experience. Cristina Lestander, the skip, has had the most. This is her 4th World Championship.
They were a little lucky to get a piece of that. Let it go and turned it a little bit, and it really curls if you get the rock started.
Cristina Lestander out for a jog this morning, out for a run before she comes to the rink to play.
Canada puts up the center guard. We'll see if Switzerland wants to go around it or we'll try and keep it open. It looks like they're going to try and remove it.
The Swiss rink with a record of 2-3. Canada at 4-1, and as Ray mentioned, Lynn, that they really can't afford another loss either. That 3 is the danger zone when it comes to losses in both men's and women's competition.
Of course, at the top of the standings for the ladies' side is the French team. They've been a bit of a surprise, but they're playing very well. And as you say, if those top teams maintain their position, it will be hard to make the playoffs with more than 3 losses.
Well, Ingrid Thulin makes the nose hit, just sets off the center line now.
And here's a chance for Canada to come right around that guard. Lorraine did this many times last night. She had an excellent game against the United States. Nice and keen down the middle of the sheet where they're playing.
After line. Yep. Waits good. Room. Waits there.
This is the first stone for the Canadian third, Lorraine Lang.
It's a good-looking shot. You can see how much it curls right at the end as it's slowing down.
And into the top of the 4, and that's a tendency. Once we got by that first day in the soft ice, it does move an awful lot in the last, well, maybe half dozen feet.
As it's slowing, it really curls, and that's a perfect shot. It's in front of the tee line, right in the 4-foot.
The Swiss third is 26-year-old Barbara Meyer. She's an office manager for the Swiss Curling Association. Off it now.
No, 22 here.
Looking for a guard, and they're discussing the weight. They're saying that the rock will take about 22 seconds from the first hog line to where it stops in the house, so it's quite keen. And guards aren't easy to place. Actually, I was watching the men play this morning, and the Norwegian skip, Igo Ramsfeld, couldn't place the guard very well in his last rock, and that's really why he couldn't steal the final end, the extra end. You can see it just curls right at the end, and it's hard to get it placed near center line.
Moves over a little too much and leaves that stone in the 4-foot exposed. Well, you could hear Lorraine say it really finishes well.
We'll have to see what the other turn does, but the tendency has been for both turns to do that. That's why it's much easier to draw around a guard just about a foot off center as well.
Barbara Meyer, the Swiss third, her second stone here in the first end of this 11th round game. Got a corner. Enough. And will the shooter hang around? No. Here you see them tucking those rocks away under the sheets of foil. The ice makers went out today and got everybody the same kind of aluminum foil, so they weren't using towels from the hotels, and they could return them. I think the hotel may have been running short because we saw so many towels out here.
It's probably just as fair, though, to make sure that everybody has the same thing, and the foil would be more effective to reflect the light back up, keep the cold in.
Heather Houston, the 30-year-old graphic artist from Thunder Bay, and her first stone.
Heather had a little problem last night with the weight. She seemed to be heavy quite often. We'll see if she can get this one in front of the tee line. Wants to tuck it around the guard.
Oh, it's good. Oh. No. Tight. Oh. Okay.
That one didn't want to come up, and it was a little light. She might have just got in a different path than the other rocks that had played down the center of the sheet. Cristina will try to come around the center guard now, and she'll have to move out right to the edge of the 8-foot, and it could be a little bit heavier in this spot.
Cristina Lestander, the 26-year-old, this Swiss rink from the Bern Curling Club.
And I think that's what happened. It just was a little bit heavier out there. If it had the weight, it would have come around that guard at least halfway around.
Straight back in case it doesn't move.
I think Heather's looking at an option shot here. She's looking that if it doesn't curl, she'll be able to tap the Yellowstone into the rings, and if it does, she'll be able to come through the hole. They haven't played this spot yet, so she's not really sure what it'll do.
That one's on 20 per rock. Yeah? 21 and a half, okay?
This will be the final stone for Canada here in the first end. Switzerland does have the hammer.
Good. Oh. So strong.
Well, she's got the hole, but will it stop?
Okay.
And slides it through. Is this rock in front close enough for a split, or will she try and will she throw it through here?
I think she's going to blank it. The split's a little tougher. It's off center line, and she can't come at it from the center because of the yellow stone. So she's looking for a blank. Lots of opportunities here in the first end. They just couldn't find the range to come around those guards.
The final stone for Switzerland and skip Cristina Lestander. Parking lot weight.
She's throwing big weight.
And she does indeed throw it through to blank this first end of this 11th round game. So Switzerland will carry the hammer over to the second end, scoreless Switzerland and Canada. Ray, let's update the game men's game between Sweden and Scotland with the hammer. Final stone for Graham Adam of Lockerbie.
Well, Graham Adams making these tough shots all week, and his record certainly shows that he's got a quiet tap back around a guard here, and he executes it perfectly. One single point for Scotland, and that's what he's been doing here all week long.
Scotland with 4 straight wins, the only undefeated rink left here in men's competition at the 1989 World Curling Championships in Milwaukee.
The symbol of excellence, Rolls-Royce. And of all the magnificent automobiles bearing this crest, there is one single classic that surpasses all others, the legendary Silver Ghost, now recreated by Franklin Mint Precision Models in a collector's piece so exceptional, it's the official model authorized by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars. The Silver Ghost, only one was ever built, the 1907 masterpiece that established Rolls-Royce as the master car builder. It passed every endurance test of its time and still runs perfectly today. The priceless flagship of the Rolls-Royce line, now in a stunning die-cast model with protectively coated, silver-plated trim. And assembled from more than 127 pieces. Each feature is authenticated by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars, like the removable spare tire, sterling silver-plated trim, exactly like the original. Tiny instruments, pedals, and controls. Engine detailing precise to the last spark plug. You can almost hear the ghost-like hum of its motor. Details to satisfy the most demanding car enthusiast and sophisticated collector. A showpiece for home or office. To order, call 1-800-543-1012. Use your credit card or mail $36.25 by check or money order to the Franklin Mint. You will be billed the balance in 3 monthly payments of $36.25 each. With your model comes a history and certificate of authenticity signed by Rolls-Royce Motor Cars. The imported Silver Ghost is available only from Franklin Mint Precision Models with the die-cast metal craftsmanship of models costing thousands of dollars. Now only 4 payments of $36.25 each. Call 1-800-543-1012. The Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, a most incredible model of the world's most incredible car.
There's nothing quite like owning a Rolls-Royce.
They blanked the first end, Switzerland and Canada, this 11th round women's game. Switzerland with a record of 2-3, and the Canadian rink of Heather Houston at 4-1 and tied with France and Norway for first place as we head into the last half of this women's draw here in Milwaukee. Catherine Peterhans, the Swiss lead with her second stone, just bites the top of the 12.
Canada tried to put up a center guard, and one was removed, and then the second one was thrown through. So Swiss are playing theirs right in, though. They're not looking for corner guards at this point in the game.
Whoa. Yeah. Whoa.
Diane Adams. Gets the inside roll and sits in the top of the 8.
At this point, the Swiss seem content to play into the rings and wait for the miss if they can get one out of Canada.
Ingrid Tula. Can't hold the shooter.
She threw fairly big weight down center line, and I think that's a spot that it won't move over until it starts to slow.
Gotta be here. Gotta be here. Gotta be in the house, guys. Yeah, right up. Right up hard. Hurry.
You can see how much movement the rocks are getting. She tried to put that closer to center, and it curled right at the end. Came off center, but it's in the ring, so it's a good shot.
Just into the top of the 12. Ingrid Tulin and her second stone, the Swiss second here in the second end. Scoreless, Switzerland and Canada. You know, the way the ice curls and curls so much, you would think they'd maybe be accustomed to it now, but it's the curl is so dramatic. They're still having difficulty, and we're midway through this championship.
It's still a little patchy. It seems to curl in certain spots more than the other. And Lorraine was mentioning to me before the game that it seems to change a little bit for each game. I don't know if it's the temperature of the brine trying to cool the ice down each night that makes a slight change, or the shaving of the ice between draws, but she says it is quite noticeable that they can't really predict what's going to happen in the next game.
Lorraine Lang with the nose hit on her first stone.
The rock's off center, so Switzerland's looking to come around this rock.
The Swiss third, Barbara Meyer.
And this is where the movement is.
Gets the rub, and the shooter goes into the top 12.
Well, they just need a little more ice there, it looks, because it's coming down the sheet, coming near center, and then it just starts to move so quickly.
Boy, did she have a game last night. Lorraine Lang and her second stone.
Good, Lorraine.
We should mention as well, Tracy, the lead for Canada was about 90%. She had a tremendous game. And of course, that sets up the end so nicely.
Yeah, Tracy was at 93 and Lorraine was at 89. Barbara Meyer and her second stone. Those two rocks just around the top of the 12, nibbling at the 12-foot.
They're hoping for a roll on this one. Rolls a little bit to the outside.
Ray, let's update the women's game between France and Finland. The final stone for Jana Jokela.
Well, it looks like she has a draw here for two, maybe three, but the girls are brushing it all away. I don't think they get it there. It was, Dick. It was a draw for three, and she ends up scoring two.
Finland 0-5 coming in. France currently tied for first place at 4-1, so that would be a big upset if Finland could win over France and the Mercier rink from Meja.
Linda mentioned earlier that the French team has been playing very well, and I think it's almost an understatement. They were not expected to do well here at all, and with their record, and they're in a good position. They can win this game. If they win this game against Finland, who hasn't got to win yet. They put themselves in great position to qualify, which would definitely be a big surprise.
I think 22 here. This side's a bit cleaner, I think. Yeah.
That Canadian stone, Linda, biting the top of the 12, that yellow stone?
Number 7 now. Yeah.
I didn't think so, but I haven't had a good look at it. Canada will try and come around the red stone and see if they can bury it nicely and force Switzerland to make a good shot. Pressure is all important, putting the pressure on the other team.
Close.
Heather Houston's first stone here in the second end.
Now Heather's down that fairly keen spot just off center.
Okay.
And it'll slip into the back of the 12. I'm not sure that yellow stone just around 2 o'clock. Do you think it's biting?
It looks a little off to me, but I'm never the one to ask on these ones.
A little bit of white between the rock and the red ring. Have you, in your trips to Switzerland, have you played Cristina before?
I played Cristina. Barbara was on the Erica Mueller team that I played in the 1985 World Championships in Sweden. But I've played these other girls at the Bonspiels in Switzerland. They're considered the top team in Switzerland right now.
And the first stone for the Swiss champion, Cristina Lestander.
At this weight, it looks like she'll come down to the Canadian stone and tap it. I think Heather's thinking the same thing. She can come down with just over draw weight and just tap that redstone back. Lorraine's giving that one a look.
Down to it or straight draw? Tap it out. Tap it out? Okay.
Still not quite sure whether that
21.5.
Canadian stone at the top would be in.
I'm sure if it's close and it comes down to it, they'll give it a measure because you never know if the circles are exactly true.
The final stone for Canada and Heather Houston here in the second end.
Now this has a lot of weight. Going to have to do a lot of moving right as it gets over the hog line.
Going to come over enough? No, it'll slip right through, and so the opportunity now for Switzerland to draw for a pair.
We talked about this last night in our telecast, that the one problem that Heather Houston has had all week long, whether it be guard, draw, or tap back or takeout, is to overthrow them a little bit. And that's another illustration of that little problem she's been having.
And again, it could be rushing rate. The danger with those shots is you're telling yourself, I'll just tap it back. And sometimes you find yourself just adding that little bit of extra weight, which makes it go so much straighter. Seems to maybe be rushing out of the hack.
The final stone for Switzerland and Cristina Lestander.
Lang.
It's enough, she says.
Nimm die Nose. Ist schon gut. Up, 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 up.
Barbara Myers says it's good. As she plays down to the face of her stone for 2 for Switzerland here in the second end. Canada will have the hammer when we come back to these World Curling Championships in Milwaukee.
We're gonna make some changes to our lifestyle. Gonna walk some more. Gonna laugh some more. Gonna eat a whole new lifestyle.
McCain invites you to change your old lifestyle into a whole new lifestyle with the McCain menu plan and Light Delight dinners. Delicious meals at less than 300 calories each.
Gonna walk some more. Yeah. Gonna laugh some more. Gonna eat a whole new lifestyle.
McCain Light Delight, a whole new lifestyle.
Play Walt Disney World Baseball Magic at all A&P Dominion stores. This year, 3 ways to win. Win up to $10,000 instantly. Win trips for 2 to Orlando, Florida, home of Walt Disney World. All trips provided by Treasure Tours, a world of vacation. Or collect and win GMC trucks, microwaves, VCRs from Sharp, diamond rings from Cyril's, or sports watches from Citizen. This week's Baseball Magic features only the best from Nabob. Many are picked, few are chosen. Your family will enjoy the great taste of Tang fruit drinks.
Juvenile diabetes is not just for kids. It can strike anyone at any age.
I know. I have diabetes.
And insulin is not a cure.
I know. I have diabetes.
Juvenile diabetes increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, kidney failure, and is a leading cause of blindness.
I know. I have diabetes.
It's time we gave diabetes our best shot, a cure. Support the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. Help us find a cure for the third largest killer disease.
You got baseball with home runs, tennis with big guns, golf, racing, PSN, you've got it. Basketball with slam dunks, wrestling with young hunks, hockey in the slots, boxing, title shots. Now you've got it. Racing with thoroughbreds, rugby with hot heads, Grand Prix wheel spin, bowling with 10 pins, football, field lacrosse, soccer with scoring fun, sports desk, all the news, TSN, you can't lose. TSN, now you've got it all.
2-0, Switzerland leading Canada as we go to the third end. That rock that was in, there was one Swiss stone just out in front of the rings, maybe about 6 inches off. Do you think she may have tried a split for 3?
No,
Because she sure didn't have to go that far for it.
No, it was a little bit difficult again. It was off center enough that I think she was uncertain about it. And at this point in the game, a 2 is a big end.
Tracy Kennedy.
Real tight, eh, guys? In the house? Real tight.
By tight, she means she wants the guards close to the ring. She doesn't want to leave anything too far out in front.
Gotcha. Good.
Did you know you take?
This is an interesting strategy. Rather than putting up a center guard or removing the corner guard and maybe rolling towards center or rolling out, Christina's putting up a guard about halfway between the center line and the Yellowstone of Canada. She's basically trying to block off the come-around for Canada, but she's still leaving up a guard. And the guard will be off-center, which is more to Canada's advantage.
Ingrid Tulin. This is her second World Championship appearance.
And this isn't what they wanted. Now Canada can try to hit that rock and roll in behind the guard. Well, it started to make a move, but it really straightened at the end, and she just gets the nose hit.
Now, straightening is maybe because they're getting into that frost line, you think?
Well, or that ridge that Pat Ryan has talked about, right at the edge of the forefoot, it seems to straighten out, with both turns, actually.
Ingrid Tulin. You know, they pipelines, and they described it as a pipeline. You wouldn't notice it in a hockey rink, of course, because there'd be so much ice over the pipes. But here, when it's something that runs the length, as the pipes would probably do in this case, then you would notice something like that.
You do
in this
notice
game,
some.
yeah.
At some of the championships, they lay the pipes across the sheets. I think they did that in Vancouver for the World Championships.
Well, they brought it into the artificial ice-making plant, remember, for
That's
the
right.
dome?
Now, on that one, the Swiss girl was quite inside. And Canada has a break. They can now try to separate their stones, and Diane will put this one on the opposite side of the rings, just about at the tee line if she can.
Watch it now, watch it.
There's an alternate shot here, though, is there not, Linda?
They could guard the rock that's in the rings and really go for it, try to get something in front and go for 2 or more.
The theory, though, is in many cases that you play in front of that stone that's in the rings down to your third stones, and then you'll split the rings. You split the rings, you have to exchange rocks 4 or 5 times, and sometimes it's very difficult to do.
That's the first stone for the Swiss third, Barbara Meyer.
Of course, they came up light there, Ray, so as you said, it has to be a perfect rock on the other side. They're getting a lot of movement, though. This one's going, too.
Let's update the men's game between Sweden and Scotland. This is the final stone for Thomas Norgren.
It's a big game for Thomas Norgren. He tried a very difficult wick-off to try and score 2 points and doesn't make it. So Scotland steals another point or gets another point, and it's 2-0 Scotland over Sweden.
Switzerland rolled out, and so Canada can go around the guard that's in front of the rings on the left. They'll try and keep it in front of the tee line.
Yeah, now. Right now.
That's a great shot.
Lorraine Lang puts it into the 8-foot just in front of the tee line, and it is buried.
I think this is a good call. We've seen a few times teams would try and follow down that yellow stone and maybe come up short and really cause problems. Cristina is going to take off the guard and open things up.
And Switzerland doesn't have the hammer, too, which is maybe the best idea of all. Don't. Nearly got a bad break to drive it straight back and catch a corner.
With this swing, Heather's looking at being able to put a second rock around the guard. Even if she comes only halfway around it, kind of protects the back rock and gets a bite of the 12-foot, it's a good shot. On some sheets of ice, you wouldn't try this because it doesn't swing very much. It might leave up a double possibility, but she should be able to get this right behind the guard.
Where is it? T-line. Yep. Yep.
It is said that it swings, but it's swinging very late, and it's not going to be covered.
Canada lying 2, one top 8 and one just at the back of the 12 around 4 o'clock.
A couple rocks have been down there now.
Double here?
There's definitely a double possibility. Or even if she got a little hit and flop, she'd still be shot rock and she'd be in front of the back Yellowstone. So that wasn't a good outcome for Canada.
Ja. Jo. Nog geen meter.
Barbara Meyer puts down the brush for the first stone of her skip here in the third end, with Switzerland leading Canada 2-0.
Christina's looking to hit this, if she's going for the double, just the center line side of the rock, not quite on the nose, just a little bit towards center line on the front rock, and she'll hit it back onto the other rock.
It's got to come over.
That was a good call by the third. She decided to go the opposite way with the double because it was hanging, and that was a good call.
She gets the first raised stone just out of the rings and kills them both. Cristina Lestander.
You can see it's hanging on center line, not wanting to come over, so the third calls it, catches it thinner than I described, but that bounces them both out. Ooh, just out of the rings.
So the ring's wide open for Heather Houston and her first stone. There you see the clocks in behind the rings. The green clock for Canada ticking down at 59 minutes now. They started with 75 for the first time in World Championships. They're using the clocks. Each rink has 75 minutes to play their games. There's 30 seconds between ends, 5 minutes at the fifth end break. And if they go to an extra end, they'll tack on 10 minutes per extra end.
Needs it. Needs it.
Leaves it short. A reminder to stay with us right after the game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Mita.
A Mita long-distance copier or fax machine can reach out and send a copy to someone in just 15 seconds. Mita, or we make our great copiers.
That last Canadian stone would have been frustrating for Heather. She had the right weight. They waited on it very long, but they didn't brush it because they wanted it to come over, and then it just stops short of the rings. Gives Switzerland a chance. Christina's playing the outturn draw, trying to come around that yellow stone.
T-line, edge of the 4.
It's a good shot. It's not fully protected, but it's protected enough that Heather can't get a hit in a roll behind that yellow stone. If she did, it would be still partially open.
This will be the last stone of this third end.
Heather won't be comfortable unless she gets 4 down anyway.
She has had some comebacks. Right. I think the fans would rather they get up early, but... Heather will look to blank this end if she can.
Remember last night we were talking and wondering if she was feeling well, if the heat was bothering. She had a very, very bad headache, she was saying, and that was causing her some problem. Because she was always going to her forehead and wiping her brow, so she was bothered a little bit by a bad headache. Final stone by the guard it is. And it'll roll to the button for 1, and Canada's on the board here in the third end. Heather Houston picks up her point and now trails by 1. Switzerland leading 2-1 when we return for the fourth end here at the Mecca.
He's got into V-fib. I'm going to shock him with the paddles.
A heart attack. I never thought it would happen to me. I knew I should have stopped smoking years ago, but it was just too tough.
Losing him. I'm going to hit him again.
I was lucky, though. I survived it.
All right, that's it. We got him back.
And I quit smoking, too. But it was almost too late.
I'm an ex-smoker, so I know how tough it is to quit. But don't you wait until it's too late, because now there's a way to quit that really works. It's new, it's different, and it's called Life Sign.
I tried cold turkey, I tried the gum, acupuncture. Nothing worked except Life Sign.
Scientific studies have proven Life Sign to be up to 5 times more effective than any other self-help method available. And it's so easy to use. It's no wonder it's the fastest growing quit smoking program around.
It works better than any self-help approach that we've ever evaluated.
The patented Life Sign method lets you quit without the pain of going cold turkey. All you do is carry this credit card-sized computer in your pocket or purse, then just push the button whenever you smoke. The computer takes care of the rest, gradually taking you off cigarettes. It's that simple.
The Life Sign unit is painless and effortless.
And it works. It really works.
To order Life Sign, call the toll-free number on your screen now and save $10 off the regular price. Use your credit card and pay in 3 easy installments of only $24.98. With Life Sign's unconditional 60-day money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose. So give yourself a break and try something that really works. Order Life Sign now.
Listen to me. I mean it, and it's from my heart. Please stop. Amen.
Wisconsin is truly the circus capital of the world. The Ringling Brothers began here in 1870. Then just 2 years later, the greatest show on earth, P.T. Barnum Circus, hit the road. As many as 20 circuses made Wisconsin their home during the early 1900s. And just as they did then, the annual Great Circus Parade through downtown Milwaukee tells everybody the circus is back in town. Wild animals, acrobats, clowns, marching bands, and the traditional circus wagons pulled by teams of powerful horses highlight the annual parade. The fairy tale world of the circus, the glittering costumes, the high-flying acrobats on the trapeze, the roar of the lions handled by their daring trainers. The circus has been a big part of life here in Wisconsin, and this year's Great Circus Parade goes July the 16th in Milwaukee. Let's get you caught up now on all the scores here in this 11th round. On the men's side, it is Scotland ahead of Sweden. Sweden with the hammer, trailing 2-0. USA has stolen one on Germany, leading 1-0. In women's competition, Finland leading France 2-1. Norway, Denmark locked in a 1-1 tie, and Switzerland ahead of Canada 2-1 as we go to the fourth end of play.
Dick, in that U.S. German game, the German skip had a wide open hit for 3 actually, and missed it and gave the USA a steal of 1.
Diane Adams on her first stone just into the top of the 12. You're wondering why, you may be curious why so many circuses were in this part of the country for a while. It's that in the late 1800s and the early turn of the century, there were so many in the Northeast that they gravitated over this way onto Lake Michigan, and they moved up north to Wisconsin because of all the trees and the tall trees that they could use for their tent poles. And then they were able to buy their oats for all their animals, and their feed was cheaper here, and that's why so many gravitated to this area.
I'm going to try and get one short here. I have 23 and a half, I think.
23 and a half.
The play is wide open right now, and you can see that Diane's telling the team how keen the ice is. 23 and a half seconds from the hog line to the house. So they're having trouble pulling it back and getting up those guards.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on, get it over. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Now, you know it's keen. You almost psych yourself out, don't you?
Well, it's still a little patchy as well. To get the in-turn guard, they have to go fairly wide, and she's still in the frostier ice, so it's hard. You tell yourself that it's very keen, but every time you move a little bit out, it is a bit heavier, and you're not sure how much to adjust.
This is the Swiss second, Ingrid Tulin, and her second stone.
With that long guard, Switzerland could have thought a little minute about going around it, trying to set up a 2. But Christina's wanting to keep it very open right now.
Mine's good.
Hurry. Hurry.
Shot.
That's good positioning for a guard. It's about halfway between the hog line and the house. Don't want to leave it too far out, or it's not going to protect anything. With swingy ice, it's almost like it's not there if it's just over the hog line.
Whenever I see the colorful laces now, I think of Penny Ryan in Kelowna. They've become the rage of curlers.
In Switzerland, the colorful clothing is just the norm when you go to a curling ice, or of course on the ski slopes. You almost can't get white shoelaces. It's green or it's pink or yellow.
You certainly wouldn't lose your shoes if you had those laces. You always know they're yours.
Unless everybody else is doing it.
Lorraine Lang.
Same weight. Right up. Oh. Good.
Center line guard. About a foot, foot and a half in front of the rings.
Well, this is interesting. Canada brought that guard quite close to the rings, and now Switzerland, with a tighter guard, is deciding to go around it. Generally, if the guard is that close, you might think of hitting it off. With the longer guard, you might come around it.
Barbara Meyer.
And of course, they're having to go wider to get around the center rock, and it may be a little bit heavier. That's what happened. She just got a little bit out into the frost, and it's just over the hog line. I was really surprised with that call, though. It was late in the end, and the rock was very close to the rings.
And that's that point, as we've talked about before, in a game or in an end where you have to make that decision. Look, it's not developing for me. Let's go for the blank.
That's right, and she had been keeping it very open and made the switch at that point, which is okay, but I think maybe the guard wasn't in a very good position for her.
Straight come around? Yeah. We're way out in this gas ice again, eh? Yeah. Oh.
Heather could play the tap up on her own stone. She could either hit it straight back or slightly at an angle behind the red stone that's in front of the rings. But she's decided the straight draw is the shot she wants.
21.5 closer to 22. Because if we're tight, that's still good. Okay.
Heather Houston.
Yep. That's good weight. Good weight. Whoa for line. Whoa for line. Need it.
It's losing its turn, they're calling out, so they're trying to sweep it in now.
Whoa. Okay.
It did. It had very little turn rate, and of course you've talked about that several times. On this ice with that frost and not a great surface, you have to be careful.
Yeah, it's absolutely imperative that you put pronounced turn on the handle in this kind of ice conditions, because the ice is a little soft, and if you don't, it'll change turn. She's got a good free release, but she just kind of lets it go without putting the turn on a little bit. It's a habit we've all gotten into because we play on such fast, hard ice at home, and the ice conditions don't change the handle. But anyone that curls a lot in arenas realizes that you have to put the pronounced turn on.
Bit of an advantage for Switzerland. They can maybe get a hit and a roll here, right behind either the yellow or the red stone.
This is the first stone for the Swiss skip, Cristina Lestander, here in the fourth end. Switzerland leading 2-1 over Heather Houston and her rink from Thunder Bay. The hit, the roll.
They anticipated that would curl. Barbara the third called out to sweep right away, and it didn't come over as they thought.
Let's update the women's game between Norway and Denmark. A 1-1 tie as they play the third final stone. Trine Trulsen of Oslo.
Well, Trine Trulsen sits at 4-1, and it's because of shots like this. It's just an open draw to the rings that for the extra point, but she takes advantage of it, and now she's got a 3-1 lead over Denmark.
Everybody helping to get it into the top of the 12. 3-1, Norway leading Denmark. Denmark with a record of 1-4.
Time's all right, Trace? Yeah.
Just confirming the time clock. Tracy's the one on the team keeping track of it for them.
That's important, Linda. With the time clocks in play now, and it's an experiment this year, and I don't know if we've mentioned to our viewers today or not that the penalty, of course, is if you don't if you use up your time, then the game is over. The other team continues to throw, and the game is over. So it's important. And as you mentioned, Tracy has the responsibility in making sure that they're staying, you know, within the time limits allowed for each end, so they don't get too far behind.
There you see our score. It's 2-1, Switzerland leading as we play the fourth, and there you see the clocks. Now, the minute the Canadian stone came to a stop at the back of the 8, then the Swiss clock started to move, and it'll run now continuously until the next Swiss stone thrown by Cristina Lestander stops, and then they'll take their 30-second time out, and it immediately, whoever's throwing first stone after 30 seconds, the clock will start again.
Heather's rock slid to the back of the house, but it accomplished what she wanted. She wants Switzerland to have to take a point here. That's
more
what's
than
actually
enough.
Hanging. Catching the spot that Heather's caught. But it stops in time, and it's one for the Swiss.
So, Cristina Lestander, no brushes to it, stopped in time, picks up one, and Switzerland now leads 3-1. Let's update the men's game now between Sweden and Scotland as they play the fourth. Scotland leading 2-0. Final stone for Thomas Norgren.
Well, this is a great shot by Thomas Norgren to get his 2 points. Graham Adam had got that roll in behind that guard, and Thomas had to negotiate it past the back ribbon for his 2 points. A super shot. It's now 2-2.
Scotland undefeated with 4 straight wins. We'll have more from Milwaukee, the Mecca, and the World Curling Championships in just a minute.
Underneath all those delicious pizza toppings lies the secret of McCain Croissant Pizza.
You're going to finish that last piece of crust? If you'll let me have it, I'll double your allowance. How about a new stereo for that last bite of crust? What a guy.
McCain Croissant Pizza, with the crust nobody leaves behind.
All across our country, Home Hardware is helping you turn a house into a home. Welcome home. For your lawn, your garden, your patio, Home has all you need. And more importantly, welcome home. All the best people. Welcome home. Home of the handyman.
Your Texaco retailer isn't faster than a speeding bullet. He can't leap tall buildings in a single bound. And he's slightly less powerful than a locomotive. But when you need service, he's there. Besides, he's a super guy. Expect more from Texaco.
Will that be all?
You got a phone booth around here?
Friday, the place to be is TSN. 11 countries, including Canada, meet in Milwaukee with one thing on their minds: to win the World Curling Championship. This is where champions are made. The PGA's best battle for the coveted green jacket at the second round of the Masters. Then they'll be having fun at the ballpark. It's regular season baseball as the Expos host the Mets live from the Big O. That's Friday on TSN.
Let's get you caught up on scores as we near the midway point of this 11th round. In men's competition, Sweden-Scotland tied 2-2. Scotland does have the hammer. The USA, Germany locked up 1-1 as they play the fourth. On the women's side, Finland has picked up one more to lead France 3-1. Norway ahead of Denmark 3-1, and Switzerland 3-1. So all the women's games 3-1 as we near the midway point. Fifth end action here, Switzerland against Heather Houston and her rink from the Lakehead Ladies Curling Club in Thunder Bay.
A good shot by Tracy, the lead for Canada. The red rock in front of the rings belongs to Switzerland, and Tracy drew right around it. Corner of it sticking out, and Cristina will call for her lead to try and remove this stone.
Ingrid Thulin. This will be the first stone for the Swiss second now.
That's right. We're having trouble keeping track of the
Yeah,
rocks.
well,
with
they're all
the
tucked under those
foil.
foil blankets. Really trying hard to get it by. They don't. Moves that guard just a little bit. There's the foil and all those rocks under there. And of course, when we're looking down to see how many rocks have been played to get an indication, well, we can't sometimes because they're tucked away neatly.
Bit of a break for Canada there. The Swiss rock curled over, ticked the rock, but didn't remove it. So now if Canada can put up a second guard, that rock will be very well protected.
Whoa. Whoa.
Diane Adams.
Yep. Has the weight, so she's playing the split, trying to get the one Yellowstone behind the guard.
Right over, Heather.
Oh, nicely done as she bumps it back to the top of the 8, and it is buried.
That was a very good shot. Christina's lining up the double, but to make the double takeout, you'd have to hit about half the front rock, and it's a difficult angle to look at.
Yeah.
Playing the out turn.
See ya. Up.
Ingrid Tulin at her second stone. Drives it back and by and slips the shooter over into the top of the 12. Canada lying 1, and Heather Houston does have the hammer here in the 5th end, trailing 3-1.
Now that the first Canadian stone has been pushed behind the guard, it gives Canada a chance to spread out their rocks a bit. Heather's decided to hit this red rock. She'll hope to sit close to where it's sitting in the house.
Whoa. Whoa.
It's a good shot, leaving them spread out.
Barbara Meyer.
She'll play the out turn hit on the fully exposed Canadian stone. She'll hope to try and get a roll over closer to the other rock.
Fish. Up.
And she'll roll the shooter over across the face and sit at the edge of the 8-foot.
She caught a little less of that rock. She would have had a perfect stone. It would have rolled right over to the other Yellowstone.
If you're playing lead for a competitive team and you're wondering how important your position is, we can go back to about 3 games in this round robin where Tracy Kennedy has set up the end by getting around a corner guard. This is just another example of it.
Lorraine Lang and her first stone, the Canadian third here in the 5th.
Lorraine's rock has to be into the 8-foot now that the one Swiss stone is in the rings. Oh, it has too much weight.
Just a bit strong. Okay.
Good shot, Linda.
Just got by the guard.
That's good.
Good sweeping, I think.
Yeah.
Sweepers are taking a big breath on that one.
Yeah.
Well, big turnaround. Canada could have drawn into the house to sit two, and now Switzerland's sitting two.
It's amazing how one stone can turn an end around.
But Lorraine can make a good shot here. She can make a contact with the one side of the red stone and roll behind the guard.
Yep. 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 Normal. Hurry.
Looking for the roll. Not going to get it.
Okay.
Well, that backstroke looks like it's into the rings to me, so Canada can get a hit and roll out here. She still gets the chance of scoring two.
They're taking a lot of ice with this turn. It seems to move quite a bit. This is Cristina Lestander with her out turn.
Yeah.
Well, she drove it right back, and so now it's a chance for Canada to pick up those 2 points, Linda. This is not an easy shot because you're out on that line that we talk about so frequently.
She'll have to keep her weight up.
But the one thing she has been doing well is playing those shots with the up weight fairly well. And the problem she's been having, of course, as we've talked about, is coming back to that soft shot, that draw weight, where she's been overthrowing a few of them. And for our viewers, this is the spot on the ice surface that really has been the trickiest, you know. But I think one of the things we should say is that the ice is excellent here. I mean, the ice is terrific. Yes, it's a little bit tricky, but that's a big part of the game, and it separates the good skips from the mediocre skips. You have to be able to read ice, and with so much straight ice that we play on nowadays, you get a little lazy, I think, Linda. I think you get lazy with, you know, your ability to remember and to read the ice.
Oh, you're right, Ray. It's a big part of the game.
That's why it's so great to have a third that you work well with. You know, you and Lindsay work so well together because not one person just can't continue to remember it.
Heather's out turn. She just needs a nose hit to sit two.
Staying right out there. Here it comes a bit now. It'll come enough. Yes, sir.
Oh,
what a good
go.
shot. That is an excellent curling shot.
That really curled at the end.
It kind of proves what we just said too, that she believed the fact that that the ice would run a little bit. When she threw it up, she kept her weight up. That kind of shot, she took about, she took 7 or 8 inches of ice. But if she doesn't really believe her own ice, then she's going to cut her weight a little bit, and she would have pulled too much. That moved at the end. Surprisingly enough, it did. And she knew it.
Now this isn't an easy shot for Switzerland. They're having to try and follow Heather down in this spot. See the little Swiss cross on the brush there.
Yeah. You made an interesting observation earlier in this game when you mentioned the colorful uniforms and the wardrobe and the things that they have in Europe. The outfit's just fantastic and adds so much to the sport. We're a little drab, I think, in North America when it comes to some of the outfits we put together. And they've been wearing these track-style pants for a long time, well ahead of us. They have a very athletic approach to the game, Linda. She got this out. Will this move like Heather's? Heather's came right across, right here. Look at her come. She's going to drive it on the back one. Another good shot.
The Swiss rock is fully into the 12 foot, so Heather can just come to the face of it, remove it, and she'll have two.
I think the secret here is, once again, she has to believe her ice and keep her weight up, Linda.
It's a chance for the tie.
Line looks good. It should come at the end if it runs the same way as her first one. Right about now, it's going to come enough. Here it comes, here it comes. Yes, sir. Just wouldn't hang in.
Looked like it was going to, but
maybe a touch more weight.
maybe a little more weight.
Yeah.
It just didn't come over at the end.
Because she threw it very well. Very straight.
And those are the frustrating ones, of course.
Yeah, that's what hurts. You throw it well and you don't get the result.
So Canada picks up one, and the score will be 3-2, Switzerland.
And we're going to go to the ice surface with Vic. He has a little bit of information on next year's World Championship.
Thank you very much, Ray. Of course, next year we'll be in Västerås in Sweden, and we're looking forward to that, of course. And joining me, a couple of men who are very prominent in the organization there. That'll be the 1,000th year of celebration, and that's what really Västerås is celebrating, the 1,000th year. And in charge of that is Mr. Rolf Nilsson. And this is, as you said to me, your first 1,000-year celebration.
Yes, we will start our second at that time.
Yes. What kind of things have you got planned?
We are planning lots of activities during the year. I can say that this World Curling Championship is one of about 300 different activities during all the year. Started at the first day of the year, ending at the last day.
So as a curling fan, if you go to Västerås next year, you'll see much more than curling, arts and crafts and music and dance and a variety of things.
Yeah, there are, I guess, some 8 or 9 other activities the same week.
Mm-hmm.
But none of the other ones are so big as the World Curling Championship is.
Soren Brinkeburn is the chairman of the committee of organizing the curling championship. A busy time for you, I suspect. The Milwaukee people told me they've been preparing for this for 3 years. You still have another year to go.
Yes, and visit here in Milwaukee is one part of our preparation for our event, and I think the organizing committee here in Milwaukee has been very helpful, and we have very much use for the knowledge we got here.
Tell me about the arena where the championship will be played, please, Mr. McGovern.
It's an ice hockey arena, and it's place for about 4,000 seats in it.
And so looking forward to having Canadians come from across the country to Västerås next year.
Yeah, we are very looking forward to see them there, and I hope they will come in. Why shouldn't we say 1,000 coming over?
That would be nice. And you know something very special, one of those things that you're tying in, I understand, is a farmers seminar. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have been in touch with the farming university in Sweden just to have their cooperation to arrange a seminar just that week, because we thought that it could be of big interest for many of the visitors.
So you could maybe make it a working curling holiday.
We really hope, so they can combine use with the fun.
Well, Mr. Brinkeborn, sir, and Mr. Nilsson, we wish you all the best, and we look forward to seeing you, all things being equal, next year in Västerås, Sweden. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And maybe some of these people will be in Västerås next year for the 1990 World Curling Championships, and we'll return to Milwaukee in just a minute.
Hey, Eddie, the cars in the 50s, remember?
Yeah, and how we used to dream of owning one.
Yeah, you, the 57 Corvette, huh?
Yeah, and you, the 56 T-Bird. Oh, I miss those cars, Norm.
They're back. The Franklin Mint brings back the cars of the 50s. Classics like the 57 Corvette, 56 Thunderbird, '59 Cadillac Eldorado, 12 imported, authentically detailed die-cast dream machines in the classic 1:43 scale. Remember how you dreamed of owning a Continental Mark II, the Studebaker Starliner, the Buick Skylark?
Norm, this is a dream come true. Tell me, Eddie, tell me.
They're all back. Fantastic recreations of the originals, handcrafted with up to 50 separate components, hoods and doors that open, tail fins, bucket seats, detailed engines, each hand-polished in its original colors. Quality found on custom replicas costing hundreds of dollars and more.
Hey, Norm, how long did you and Susie go steady?
Right up until she sold her T-bird.
To start your Franklin Mint Cars of the 50s collection, call 1-800-447-7654. Get one imported model every other month for an incredibly low $75, payable in 2 monthly payments of only $37.50 each. Order by credit card and save the COD service charge. You'll also receive this handsome custom-designed wall display.
Eddie, remember sitting in the drive-in eating our fries, just wishing we owned one of them beauties?
Yeah, and now we can own them all!
Order now and get this fascinating Cars of the 50s binder, including specs of each car and reprints of the original ads at no extra charge. Call 1-800-447-7654 and get the cars you always dreamed of owning.
I love it, Norm. I love it.
Well, let's review these games, Linda. Sweden with 1 point behind Scotland. 3-2 Scotland over Sweden. Germany, 1 point behind the USA. 2-1 USA. France and Finland all tied up in the ladies' games. Norway and Denmark at 3-3. Switzerland, 3-2 over Canada in our game. Everybody's in play. It's a good game. Heather's been, you know, she threw that rock well and she didn't get the result she wanted, Linda. It just didn't come at the end, but she released it, and as you mentioned, those are the frustrating ones. You just gotta kind of put them out of your mind. And
they're hard, though, Ray. I know with the Olympic preparation, we went through a lot of things with the mental aspect of the game, and there was a book that we read on psyching for sport, and they talked about parking those shots. The things that don't go well during the game or during the competition, you park them or you put them away somewhere and forget about them. But that's hard to do, and I found as a skip it was especially hard because the misses that you have show up on the scoreboard, and you feel that you're letting your team down. And I know Heather was a little frustrated last night with that weight problem she was having, and today she's throwing them quite well and just not getting the result.
Good wheat, good wheat, good weight, says Cristina Lestander. To Catherine Petterhans, her lead. Diane Adams.
Just got a piece. And Switzerland has that corner guard up. I think Cristina might go around it.
In front of the tee line, please. The Swiss second, this is Ingrid Thulin.
It has lots of weight.
Boy, for someone, she wanted it in front of the tee line, certainly didn't get it.
That was very heavy. She's right down the keen path, and you have to remind yourself it's very, very keen. And here's the one defense against the corner guard. Heather's putting up the center guard.
This will be the second stone for Diane Adams here in the sixth end with Switzerland leading Canada 3-2.
Moving quite a bit. Here, guys.
They're saying how much it's moving. We can watch it as it crosses center line.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
a little warm for everybody down there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my first little visit to the side of the sheet, and you've been down there and Ray's been down there, and you're right, it is considerably warmer than it is just up here, and we're maybe, what I'd say, 20 feet up and maybe 30 to 50 feet back of the sheet, and it's a little cooler where we are. This is Ingrid Thulin, the second for Switzerland. One of the Swedish members of the media tells us that she is a Swede by birth, and she was a Swedish junior champion back in 1979, now living in Switzerland. Look at this.
Now break for Canada. She got a little out, and she just caught a piece of the one stone and pushed Canada in. Not happy.
Yeah, but we got to play it wide enough that we stay away from that one, eh?
That's a nice break. That's a good break, Linda. You know, they pushed that Canadian stone into the rings, and now Lorraine gets a chance to either tap it back or go around it, and they really haven't given us a clear call. I think with the ice, she's maybe tapping it back.
I think they did discuss that. Of course, Lorraine's going to throw just draw a weight because it's so keen. They can sweep it for the tap.
Yep. Quite a bit of weight. Got lots of weight. Yep. Weight's good. Oh.
It's like a good shot.
Good, Lorraine.
Oh.
It's a dandy.
She made some shots.
Taps it back to the tee line, 4 foot, and it is totally covered.
They thought it was heavy. It really slowed down as it started to curl.
Dug in from the to cut.
All Cristina can do is try and remove the guard.
Barbara Meyer, the Swiss third.
Up.
Tries to raise it back, but raises it through, and Canada's still lying 1 4 foot and covered.
Looks like the Swiss stone stayed out. Looking for that all-important guard.
Lorraine Lang.
I'll try and put this guard just next to center line, block off the path to the 4 foot.
Yep. Dan, hurry.
They're going to bring it right in now. It's curling a lot.
One of these shots, if it's going to come, you know, curl like that, bring it right to the face of it. Just a little strong.
I think a piece is exposed.
Still a very difficult shot for Switzerland, but you're right in that she gets the guard up there. She really had that one, you know, socked in there. Think that one's biting, Linda?
Looks out to me.
I'll put my glasses on.
The official word will come.
Men en rofskutt is schon nicht schlimm. En rofskutt is schon nicht. Wie viel wird Stoppeit? Hä? Wie viel wird Stoppeit? Was geht? Ein bisschen länger. Ein bisschen länger. Komm noch mal.
Little heavier. Both will go if she hits it.
Thank you, Vic.
That's why you make the big dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing it tight to the guard.
Fish! Fish! Come on! See a fish! Stay up!
Got it by.
Nice shot. What a
Good
shot.
Nice shot by Barbara Meyer.
Nice one.
And they're happy. They're brushing it to hold it on center line, and then they lift the brushes Make good contact, and they both spill. Of course, when you're Lorraine, you get so mad at yourself because even if you hadn't made that anywhere in play, they would have had a tough time getting it shot rock.
Yeah, the fatal mistake was to come too deep, and that's exactly what happened. But as we've mentioned, most of the errors that have come on soft shots like that have come with the thrower throwing it too heavy, and it's a hard thing when the ice is so quick to come out of the hack so slowly.
Heather Houston's first stone here in the sixth end. Switzerland leading Canada 3-2.
Yep. Up. Yep. Lots of weight.
Looking for a roll.
It's a good shot, forces the play well to the other side.
Cristina Lestander out to have a look and see if that stone may be biting. Might be worth running a stick around, though, if they get this one.
The thing is, if it comes down to deciding if you're going to blank it or go for two, those ones that you don't know if they're in or out are kind of critical. Christina's decided to take the turn from center line towards the outside rather than playing into the frosty area. I haven't seen too many played in this type of shot, though. The last end we saw several takeouts from the outside in.
The first stone for the Swiss skip here in the sixth.
She put that one out.
Going to get by the guard. It just does. Going to get a corner of this stone. Just does. And the shooter will roll out as well.
She was a little wide and just got by the guard.
Now soon. Probably those a long tip. Yeah.
I think it's out, Linda. I think I agree with you.
Well, a good chance for Heather to get that draw weight. Right down the center, she'll try and bury it around the guard.
It's one thing we know for sure, that Heather thinks it's out.
Draw weight. 24. 24? Yep. Same ice as what the rain had? No, a bit more. A bit more, right? Yeah, it was 23 and a half here. Yeah. Like 24, they're gliding, eh? Yeah, okay. I think get this
Very
one in play
keen.
because that flips right there.
The last stone for Canada and skip Heather Houston here in the sixth end. The ring's wide open.
Right there. Oh, lots of room.
Heather's only at 25% on her draws this game, so that's the part of the game that's been letting her down a little bit.
Well, the weight looks good on this.
Yep, right back, right
Sweeping
back,
it now to try and get it covered.
Right back. Good.
They draw it back of the 8-foot.
Just a little less weight, Lyndon. You could have, you know, worked with it a little bit. Brushed it, left it, brushed it, left it. But that was just a little bit too strong, and so they had to leave it all the way.
I got 24 and a half seconds on the clock of that one. Very, very keen.
Cristina Lestander lived in Sweden for a time, married a Swedish gentleman, now fluent in Swedish. She's fluent in English as well. Now will the shooter roll out for the blank, or will it hang around for the one? They're going to take their one. Now they're going to measure this one. No, they're going to push it away. They agree that it's out, and Switzerland will take the one. I'm surprised that Meyer wouldn't have swept that a little bit, maybe to blank.
I think they were going for one.
Yep, so they'll take their one. It's good, says Cristina. Switzerland leads by 2, and we come back for the seventh end.
You know, when people want to get away and play, they try everything to save some money. Ads in the newspaper, travel agents. But there's a better way. Players Club. If you enjoy Las Vegas, Atlantic City, Reno, Lake Tahoe, the Caribbean, Players Club is made for you. You know, these people know about going first class. So they book you into some of the best casino resorts in the country, in the world. The Riviera, the Flamingo Hilton, Harrah's, right here at Resorts International, Paradise Island in the Bahamas, all top places, fun places. And your membership card? Gets you up to 60% off your room in season, when other people can't even get the room. And that's every day of the year. 25% off meals and drinks, another 50% off shows and entertainment. You can't get deals like that in a newspaper. You want to know why this card's so special?
Players Club members are good customers, so we take care of them with discounts and privileges the general public can't get.
And I haven't even mentioned airfares. 50 to 70% off with no restrictions. If you have to change your plans, no penalty. Look, I can't give you all the details now, so you call this number for plenty of free information. Read it all, then make up your own mind. New members get 2 free room nights in Las Vegas or Atlantic City when Players Club books your flight. A nice way to say hello, right?
Hope is at a premium these days, and yet it's a vital ingredient in the art of living. Children are our hope for the future. Do you know that we could immunize the world's entire child population against the biggest killer diseases at the cost of 3 fighter aircraft? Canada's international immunization program has joined forces with UNICEF to reach out to the children of the world with a miracle in the making. And you can be part of that miracle through your support of UNICEF Canada.
Let's get you caught up on the scores now, midway through this 11th round of the World Curling Championship. Sweden trailing Scotland by 1 in men's competition, and the USA, Germany, locked up 2-2. USA, Jim Vukic from Seattle with the hammer. On the women's side, France, Finland tied 3-3. Norway ahead of Denmark 4-3, and Switzerland taking that 1 in the 6th. Now lead Canada and Heather Houston by 2. It's 4-2, Switzerland on top.
Rather than blanking it, it looked like Cristina Lestander wanted to take her point last end, so she has the 2-point edge, and she looks like, again, she'll try and keep it very clean this end.
The Swiss second, Ingrid Thulen.
She's thrown big weight. She's got it. We were mentioning that Cristina speaks a lot of languages. When I was in the World Championships in Jönköping, she was living in Sweden, and she was an interpreter. I can't count how many languages it was, but it seemed that she could speak the language of almost every participating country. And that's something I would love to be able to say, but...
Well, of course, in Switzerland there are 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and Romanish.
I always feel very limited, and they go to speak English and apologize for their English, and it's usually very good, and I can only speak English. Just trading shots here.
Cristina Lestander up by 2, 4-2. Switzerland leading Canada.
Why don't you call in the rolls and stuff? In the cross pitching match. That's good. Yeah. Up. Stupid. Good.
And rolls it to the edge of the 12-foot at 3 o'clock and out into that uncharted ice.
A little frosty out there. Ingrid struggled a bit, but she's playing well now. She's making good contact with those stones.
Diane Adams in her second stone.
No, right on. Yes, yes.
This sheet of ice is great, and it's working, you know, true everywhere. It's super.
Comes back to what you said before, Ray, about as a curler, what you want the ice to be is consistent.
That's the key. That's all the curlers ask, is it does try and, you know, does the same thing each time. That's all.
Isn't that interesting? They little Swiss cross on the bottom of their brooms, on the brushes.
See it?
See it?
Up, next station.
Another thing coming to these championships is colorful, and you hear all the different languages, and there was the call for sweeping in the Swiss-German language.
Yeah, in Sia to pull.
Combien? Combien?
I played in a little bonspiel with some Swiss people, and all I could figure out to say was ja, because it sounded close to yes, and I wasn't sure what to do.
Lorraine Lang. Shooter, hang on.
Good shot.
Oh, one of those.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Little biters. Often players that are less experienced have the most trouble with these wide shots, and that's why we always call them nasty, because you have to really turn your body and get out to the side of the sheet.
Barbara Meyer digs into the foil blanket for her stone, and her second shot here in the 7th end.
Up, nice. Oui. Kijk terug.
State ratings in Finland on the women's side. Final stone, Jana Jokela in the 6th, 3-3 tie.
What a big shot for Jana here to keep control of this game. She's looking at tree, Vic, and she comes down to the French stone, just pushes it back and gets her single point.
Hard to believe they're 0 and 5 coming in. Lorraine Lang.
It is hard to believe that they don't have any wins, but it's even harder to believe that France has 4.
And of course, the thing with France now will be interesting to watch them, because quite often teams like this play well, but they're not used to being at the top of the standings. And I think there is some extra pressure when people see you at the top of the standings and expect a lot out of you.
Skip stones to come here in the 7th end. And this is the first from the Swiss skip. This is Cristina Lestander.
Sia. 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 Bash. 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 Bash.
And we're sweeping, and it's really curling now.
And the shooter will spin out.
When the house is wide open, you have to put it somewhere, and often you'll try to go to a place on the sheet that you feel the other team might have trouble with. Looks like Heather is going to go to one side of the sheet, maybe picking out a weakness in the opposition or a difficult part of the sheet. Heather hasn't mentioned the trouble she had last night with getting comfortable on the broom. She usually wears the big mitt, and she was finding with the bare hand on the broom, her hand was slipping a bit. It's too warm, of course, to wear the big mitts.
The first stone for Heather Houston.
Yeah. Good luck.
Wanted India.
She's putting it right in.
Boy, look at it start to move and dig in. You gonna get it there? Lay it just a little short.
Now, that's a couple of times that's happened to Heather where her rock is dug in. It could be either that her rock is a little slower than they think, or she's just getting out into that frostier ice and it's grabbing on the frost. That is so frustrating because everybody was calling out that the weight looked good and then it just stops.
The final stone for Switzerland and Cristina Lestander. Canada does have the hammer here in the 7th end.
So try and put it in the ring somewhere, then make Canada attempt the blank. Got lots of weight.
Will it stop? No, it'll slide through. Now it'll be interesting to see if Heather tries to chip and roll here. For 2, it's close enough, you'd think. But again, it's in that shady area with frost, huh?
Well, it's possible. It's quite far over to this side. She just have to touch it in and hope that her shooter would roll in.
Cristina Lestander, Ingrid Tulin in the middle, and on the right side, the Swiss lead, Catherine Peterhans.
Okay. No.
Well, these ones are tough. Not only do you have to hit just the right part of the rock, try and chip it in. Yeah, they're saying half of the rock, but the weight has to be just perfect.
The final stone of this 7th end, and Canada's Heather Houston looking for a little chip and roll, scoring 2 here in the 7th.
No line. Make sure it's through, Lorraine. Through.
She got out a little wide, and it looks like lots of weight.
Okay.
And as you'll sail it through, so Heather Houston continues to have problems with those upweight shots. She'll maintain the hammer, blanking this 7th end, 4-2, Switzerland leading. Let's update the game between Sweden and Scotland, and this is the final stone for Thomas Norgren.
Well, he plays a quiet tap back for the second point, and a big second point it is, Dick, because he now takes a 1-point lead in what's a must game for him.
Leading Scotland 4-3. Now we check in on the game between women's game, Norway-Denmark. Final stone for Lene Bidström of Denmark.
Well, another must game for Denmark because Norway's been playing so well, and they're at the top of the heap here. But Denmark makes this shot, a little tap back for the extra point, the second point, and they also take a lead in this game.
Denmark
5-4.
playing Norway, who are 4-1. In our game, it's 4-2. Switzerland leading 8th end action when we come back.
Hi, kids. Elizabeth. Who wants some Mr. Juicy? But first you'll have to catch me.
Introducing Mr. Juicy Frozen Treats from McCain. Flavored with real McCain fruit juice from concentrate. Children love the flavors of McCain Mr. Juicy because of the fruit juice. It's a wonderfully wholesome way to celebrate summer.
What flavor? Raspberry.
McCain Mr. Juicy because of the fruit juice.
The Chevrolet Cavalier is the best-selling car in the country.
Hey, Tom. Morning, Tom. Oh, hi, Dick. Hi, Tom. Hi, I'm Dick.
And from $10,148, it's not hard to see why.
Dick? Dick. Hey, Tom. Dick. Oh, hi, Dick. Hi, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Ask any Tom, Dick, or,
Tom. Yeah, Dick? Where's Harry?
well, you know,
Who's Harry?
Chevrolet, the world's most successful cars.
All across our country, Home Hardware is helping you turn a house into a home. Welcome home. For your lawn, your garden, your patio, Home has all you need. And more importantly, All the best people.
Home of the handyman. Thursday, TSN is the place for great action. The PGA's best shoot for a cool million when TSN heads to Augusta, Georgia for the first round of the Masters. Later, the NHL Tonight takes over with live action and updates from the entire league. You won't want to miss a thing with TSN's coverage of the NHL playoffs. After the game, the action stays on ice. Join Vic Rotter, Ray Turnbull, and Linda Moore for the World Curling Championships, live from Milwaukee. That's Thursday on TSN.
We're getting down to the final 3 and 4 ends of this 11th round of the World Curling Championships. Men's competition, Sweden by 1 over Scotland, but the Lockerbie rink does have the hammer. USA leading Germany by 1. On the women's side, Finland continues to lead France in a surprise. Denmark ahead of Norway. That would be a big upset. And Switzerland by 2 over Canada.
Well, Linda, not many times in this year's World Championship have we questioned Heather Houston's strategy, but I certainly questioned it here. She's down 2 playing the 8th end, and Switzerland had a rock on the edge of the 12-foot, and Heather played the hit it. And I think she's got to get something going by throwing up some guards and get some things around it. Forget those rocks on the 12-foot. Now Switzerland rolls to the 4-foot, and you're forced to play it.
That's a good point, Ray. I think she's trying to be patient. She has had misses out of the second on the Swiss team, but if you keep waiting forever, and with the second coming on now a little stronger, you could be waiting and right to the 10th end and not get your chance.
You know, and the point here is that now she's playing the freeze to the 4-foot, which is a good call. There's nothing wrong with that, but she had a chance to ignore a rock that was way out in the 12-foot and just throw up a corner guard. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that, you know, you would play the hit way out there when you're down 2 playing 8. You know, if Tracy can make a good shot here, yes, she can get something going for herself, but...
Diane Adams.
Leave it, leave it.
And of the shots on these sheets of ice, Ray, coming around the guards are the easy ones. The freezes are tough because it's coming off center line and swinging so hard.
But there was a terrific example of why was she brushing it out of the rings? Well, why are you brushing that rock out of the rings?
It is protection.
You want it back there. You want it sitting in the 12-foot. I don't know.
The Swiss second, Ingrid Tulin, and her second stone here in the 8th end. Switzerland leading Canada 4-2. Must win for Switzerland. Canada with a record of 4-1. The Swiss are 2-3. And executing very well.
They're coming on strong. The second position was in the 40% range, but she's come right back. And now Heather's trying to draw to the rock in front of the tee line, which is even harder.
Especially with a girl like Tracy Kennedy at at the lead position. You know, she doesn't make many mistakes, and her percentages show that. They showed them in Kelowna, they showed them in Fredericton. She's just a solid little lead. Both her and Diana are a terrific front end. So and here's another example of hitting the broom, pushing the rock back. It's a super shot. This time Heather is leaving it. I mean, this little girl is as good as there is at that position. She's been the all-star lead at the Canadian Championships 2 years running, and that's quite an accomplishment.
Tracy Kennedy.
I believe that's right, Linda. She was.
I think that is right. Yeah, she's played very well here.
You get a touch older, your memory goes a little bit on you, and almost everything else.
Barbara Meyer.
She'll try and hit this just off the nose and take it behind, missing the back red rock.
Yes. Yep.
Just about on the nose.
Up.
It's a good shot.
They drive it by that stone at the back of the 12, and now Switzerland lying 2.
Good chance for Canada, though. The rocks are now just in the 12-foot, and one's behind the tee line.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can do this. Or you can hit this. Here then.
Merci. Der tål kanskje mye hardere, så det er det for natten.
Well, they talked about their options. She said she could come down here like so and freeze to this one, which is, I think, not a bad shot, or come this way here and freeze to this, which I think is a better shot, try and freeze on the face of that one. Or she could play the hit and roll in front, and that's what she is playing. It's just not the percentage shot, in my opinion. You've got to get something going here, and those rocks are in the 12-foot. Ignore them. Freeze to them. Use them.
Lorraine Lang, first stone.
Part of this, the way she's playing, I think, is based around the fact maybe she doesn't feel strong about her draw weight, so she wants to continue hitting.
Hurry. A little bit, Dad. Right over.
Couldn't ask for a better shot. It's exactly what she called. Lorraine got the hit and roll. But it's not that difficult a shot for the Swiss team to remove now, because there's only the one rock on the back of the rings.
Yeah. You mentioned that earlier too, Ray, when Heather was struggling a bit in the Scott Tournament of Hearts. She was tending to play that less aggressive style. I think you're right. You lose a bit of confidence, and you're hoping that something will happen without putting too much pressure on yourself.
Oh, I think that's a tendency with everyone. I'm not certainly pinning that on Heather. It's just that you're in the 8th end of this game now. I mean, you haven't got many more ends to go. Let's get at it. What's the difference of losing by 7 or losing by 1? It's it's a loss.
Barbara Meyer.
And these girls are executing,
And the shooter goes. Saying it really moves.
Yeah, I guess so.
Of course,
I think it's close.
even if he's wrong, we can't.
Yeah, we can.
Not gonna argue with me, are you, huh?
Use it, Heather. I would use it. Get your deuce. Even though it's late in the end.
It's actually in a good position, Ray, because it's off center line enough you can come to it.
Well, the umpire's coming out to see if that stone was in fact over the end line.
We should mention the clock stopped momentarily. When an official comes on the sheet, they do stop the clocks for just a moment.
Lorraine Lang and her second stone.
Wait there. Back. Might need to hit something.
It's got great line, Linda. I just think maybe a little too strong, eh?
Looks like it might tap it.
If it just has draw weight, then it was going to curl that little bit extra and sit right in front of it.
And the shooter looks like it goes as well.
I'm gone. You think that one too?
Everything's just at the line.
Okay.
Of course, the rock has to be fully over that back line before it gets pushed away.
Let's go back a couple of shots now. There's nothing in front. There's nothing in the rings. And this is exactly what Switzerland, wants and likes. She's up 4-2. Heather has nothing going. And if you go right back to Tracy's shot when that rock was in the 12-foot it was around the 10 o'clock position, I would have ignored it completely and thrown up a corner guard, especially with someone like Tracy that makes them. Then I guess, as we've just moments ago talked about, sometimes you skip around how you feel, and or many times, and I guess Heather maybe doesn't feel too comfortable with her draw weight. But you're running out of ends, Linda.
Yeah. Well, this is a big one. If you can try and get your 2 and 8, get the tie, force the play back to Switzerland, they might hit and stick in 9, and then you have last track coming home, you go for your 2 again. The 8th end is such a big one.
Okay. Throwing it through here, Cristina Lestander in the 8th end.
Does that surprise you a bit to see someone throw their rock through like that?
Well, I think that's that's something that you could be doing, but she just doesn't want Heather to what.
Of course, the option might be to draw to the front of the 4-foot.
Yeah,
it's a different call, I think.
You don't see it very often in that situation, I could tell you. I kind of stuck for words, wasn't I? Don't turn on me like that.
outturn's a little slick, eh?
Yeah, it is. Well, I think it's really important that Heather gets one in there and feels good about her draw weight. She's going to need it.
This is the first stone for Heather Houston. Said the outturn was slick.
The outturn was about 24.5 seconds, so she's playing the other turn more towards the frost line.
Oh!
That's the weight.
Man, she puts it into the edge of the 8 and right on the tee line, so certainly she has her draw weight there.
I think she's trying to get Switzerland to play their in turn. I just get that feeling from where she's positioning the rocks. I'm not sure if she has seen in previous games that there is a weakness there. They have a coach here, and often the coach will review the other teams and how they throw the rock.
Well, her theory, I guess, of course, was that she didn't want anything in the rings that Heather could use, so she threw it through. Now she'll play the hit, and they have been executing with precision.
It's got big weight, I think she's saying.
Makes the hit and rolls into the edge of the 4.
Well, if Heather can't get the roll out here, she's going to really have to go forward in 9. Have to put up center guards.
Rock first. Yeah.
Kevin Adams.
Make sure you get the rock, then the blank.
Take it away first. But she'd like the blank here. Or I'd like the blank here, I can tell you.
The last stone of the 8th end.
Normal. Yep.
She's throwing these hits very well.
This weight she's been throwing terrific.
Just curls over too much.
Gets the hit and will take 1 point. Canada grabs 1 here in the 8th, but still trails Switzerland. It's now 4-3, and the Swiss will have the hammer going to the 9th end. Let's update the men's game between Sweden and Scotland. 8th end action. Final stone, Graham Adam of Lockerbie.
Well, Graham Adam is looking at 3 here. He needs a hit and roll in towards the 4-foot. Unfortunately, he hits it right in the nose, and he gives up a steal of 1 to Sweden. It's a big steal for Sweden. They take a 5-3 lead, and the game is a must for them.
Scotland, the only undefeated rink. Can this lady come back? We'll find out 9th end when we return to Milwaukee.
Stand by for some great hit music.
Lord have mercy, baby's got her blue jeans on. It's a cheap
Country Stars 2, 62 full-length hits on 3 LPs, 3 cassettes, or 3 8-tracks for only $24.95.
Big city turned me loose. He stopped loving.
From 40 years of recorded music.
Hello, darling.
The biggest hits by country's biggest stars.
These rose-colored glasses. You're my sweet one, my darling, Julie Blunt. Blue eyes crying in the rain. The last cheater's warm. Does my ring hurt your finger? After life in the hot afternoon. Why can't I free your doubtful mind?
Country Stars 2, 62 great hits on 3 LPs, 3 cassettes, or 3 8-tracks, only $24.95.
COD and credit card customers call toll-free 1-800-545-7722. That's 1-800-545-7722. Or rush $24.95 plus $3 shipping and handling to Country Stars, Box 600 TSN, Station R, Toronto, Ontario, M4G4E1. COD and credit card customers call toll-free 1-800-545-7722.
This is a research laboratory. It tries and fails to make Castrol motor oil break down. It's the place where Castrol is torture tested to meet the requirements of those who punish motor oil the most. you. The everyday Canadian driver. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's cars.
Let's get you caught up on all the scores here in Milwaukee. Scotland with the hammer, but trailing Sweden by a pair in men's competition, while the U.S. and Germany still locked in a 3-3 tie. Finland, France tied 4-4, and Finland has the hammer. Norway, Denmark 5-5. The Danes have the hammer, and Switzerland now with last rock, leading Canada 4-3 as we go to the 9th end of play in the 11th round of these World Curling Championships.
And we've had a miss from Switzerland. The one Canadian stone's just in front of the rings, and Heather's looking to put up the center guard.
Well, Dick, as you look across the sheets, that's a very, very big game for Thomas Norgren from Sweden. He was at 2-2, and he needs to win this one. Scotland, of course, were undefeated. So it looks like the Swede has come up pretty strong today.
Whoa, we got no line. Whoa.
Diane Adams. Heather saying there's no line.
It just swings so hard. I mentioned that before, and actually Lorraine talked about it before the game. It's very hard to come around center guards. The easiest guard to come around is the one just about a foot off center. That's the swing of the ice. So at least there's guards up.
Ingrid Thulin. Starting to come now, she says.
She's going after both guards with the one shot.
One. Gets the center line, but really just exchanges them, and one Canadian stone just off the center line, and the shooter rolls over and covers the edge of the 12.
Heather tapped the ice to come around the guard.
Diane Adams.
Hurry for line.
Sometimes you just put the whip on a little too late, and you know, you can see that Heather's going after it here, of course, and she has to, as you mentioned, Linda, but I think the 8th was a better end to really go to it.
We're having trouble with the swing. It's curling so much.
That's a good analogy. Put the whip up to, I mean, if you see the finish line in sight, it's too late. Maybe you should have done it around the clubhouse, you know?
Now you're hoping with all your heart here that Switzerland ignores those two stones and goes around. No such luck.
She can get them both if she hits the front one just right. Just off the nose on the front rock. This one's going to curl.
You couldn't ask for a better break than that. So now you got to get in there. And you got Lorraine Lang throwing here, and she doesn't miss too many of these. Which way do we go? Let's play the out turn.
Ask her what she threw. She was close.
Ask Diane what she threw. Her rock just came short of the rings. Taking the same path, playing the out turn.
Okay.
See the difference in time. The Canadian rink now at 19 minutes.
22 then.
That's about 4 minutes slower than the Swiss team has been playing.
So good.
You often see that. Switzerland's been playing the game when they're ahead and taking everything off, and Canada trying to come back is putting up a lot of guards, a lot of draw shots.
Needs it for Wade. Wade's good. Yep, close. Whoa, just close.
Well, that one got outside the swing. It won't curl until the very end.
She has perfect weight, doesn't she, Linda? Just that it just didn't come.
Okay.
There's that line we talked about out there that's a little bit tricky. It's the only real tricky spot on the ice.
interesting again. They're going at it with the turn from the center line out.
Barbara Meyer. Switzerland with the hammer here in the ninth end, leading 4-3.
Up.
Sorry. They swept it a bit too much. They got on it and it didn't quite come over enough. See if Canada can adjust the ice here and find that exact spot to get around the center.
Lorraine Lang settles in. This will be her second stone. Another try at getting it behind those guards.
This line looks better.
It's got the weight. Yep.
Got the line if they can get it by here. She starts to slide it, but still a good shot. Back of the 8-foot. She sure got it buried, Linda.
That was a spot that really swings.
It almost came out the other side, didn't it?
She's talking about clearing the front rather than following down that rock.
Did you throw?
Another thing I notice, often when a skip is struggling with the weight, she'll always ask the teammates every end, what is the time, what is the time? When you're feeling good, you just automatically know.
Yeah, it's up in the head. You know what it is, you know. It's.
I know when I keep asking and asking, that means it's because I haven't found it yet and I'm still struggling.
Barbara Meyer just being asked to get rid of those center line guards.
And you trying to get it cleared off. This presents a golden opportunity. If Heather Houston can get one around this center guard to the top of the 8-foot, top of the 4-foot, in front of her own stone, she sets up a great possibility of, you know, possibly stealing a point or two. You heard Heather Houston. They say to Lorraine they haven't had a lot of draws. And for example, the Swiss skip hasn't had a draw since the 7th end, and when she did have that draw, she threw it through the rings.
That's a good point.
Caramel bar.
It's going around, we're going in?
Well, we're going top 4.
Okay.
But we'd rather be short than that,
Yeah.
okay?
These are the shots that she struggled with, Linda. The quiet come-arounds. A little bit this week. Not always, but a little bit this week. Here's a golden opportunity. They don't come along very often.
Wide.
Weight's good. Needs it.
Whoa, we got.
She said wide.
Real short.
She threw it out there and it caught the ridge.
She's got on the other side of it. The weight was okay for the guard at least, but she...
Okay.
I should know better. Take a little less with my out turn.
She is throwing them fairly straight this week.
But it's something that you learn about your own team members. For example, you know, my out turn runs very straight compared to, you know, my third man, Terry Bronson, who played third for me this year. And we just have to make those adjustments as we, you know, on the ice, as we, you know, go down the ice. If I can't take the same amount of ice that I give Terry for his out turns, I have to take a little bit less because mine run a little straighter. It's all in the release.
I don't know why they called the sweeping on that. I thought she was clearing the guard. At the last minute, they looked like they were going for the back rock, and they almost made a big mistake.
It's another good opportunity, Linda, for Heather Houston to really put the pressure on. Let's remember the Swiss skip has not played a lot of draws, so you want to get the stone, come down in this area here, try and get the stone right in here, right about there, covering half of this one, maybe even over a little bit further than I drew, in that area there.
Be nice to have an expandable rock like yours right there.
The fat rock I always wanted.
Sure.
Well, I could tell you stories about the old days when they had the little squatty rocks and the big fat rocks. Of course, you'd always save the fat rocks or the wide rocks for your guards, and you'd keep the little smaller rocks for the hits and going through the holes. And because rocks were at one time a different size. The weight was very similar, but the size was a little different.
Well,
Heather Houston's final stone, Linda, here in the 9th end.
if Heather can put this in there, it won't just be a good shot because they'll be sitting to, but the pressure will finally be on the Swiss skip.
She's got lots of weight again. Better short here. It's just too deep. You got to move that rock 2 feet forward. That's just the mistake she's been making a little bit this week.
Okay.
And she threw it there. She didn't give her brushers any chance at all, Linda.
The only good thing about this is it's partially covered, and Cristina has been heavy now. If she does overthrow it in this spot, she might just rub the shot rock and roll far enough and give up a steal.
And it's a draw type shot, so sometimes in these shots too, when you see those rocks back behind the tee line, you enter popping into the mind comes at, well, I got a little backing kind of thing, which
Got to be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes comes in the mind.
you hope it doesn't happen, but
Watch only the weight.
she's
Got lots.
of weight, and she's
Too
outside
much.
too. She can miss them both. Oh, here it comes now. Here it comes now.
I could rub the front one though.
Go far enough for a steal of 2.
It's very close.
I think just one.
Yeah, 1 point only. Almost. It just came at the last moment.
It'll be a steal of 1 for Canada here in the 9th. Canada ties it up. It's 4-4, but Switzerland will have the hammer in the 10th end.
If you think you don't have time for a full hot breakfast, take a look at this. McCain's Super Fast Breakfast. Just pull off the tabs, pop it in your microwave, and in just 3 minutes, it's ready. A full and delicious breakfast. Put a little zip in your morning with McCain Microwave Breakfast. They're ready in just 3 minutes. Super Fast Breakfast from McCain. The full breakfast you thought you didn't have time for.
Some things in life you just can't forget. This is another. Beeman's.
Some have let life get complicated. Others will never let life get that way. GWG.
It's beautiful. Is it fast? Very quick. As a matter of fact, I didn't know what to think. When Mulholland does 4 curves.
While others describe luxury car performance with words like terminal velocity and lateral G-force,
Like it's on rails.
owners of the Acura Legend Coupe tend to be a little less technical.
It's a blast.
There you see the Swiss flag, along with Sweden, England, Scotland, members of the International Curling Federation, as we bring you up to date now on scores. And Sweden leading by 2 against Scotland with the hammer, though the Scots have it. USA up by 2 over Germany. In ladies play, Finland continues to lead France. That would be a big upset. Norway ahead of Denmark. And Switzerland, Canada, 4-4 tie as you go to the 10th end. And Switzerland does have the hammer, and 2 Swiss stones now in play on the one in the 12-foot at around 10 o'clock, and the other one just out in front.
Well, Christina's had trouble with that draw weight. Something we saw with Heather the other day. It's so keen down the middle.
Yeah.
Diane Adams.
That rock really came over at the end, and then they didn't know what to do. Should they leave it to, to come to the top one, or hit the back one on the nose? And they almost, it was one of those indecision things, and they got the little tick off the front when they had almost squirted too far. It was almost a steal of 2. Those are hard rocks to decide what to do on when you're a third.
Canada's putting up the center guards, and so far there's 1 Swiss stone in the rings and 1 corner guard on that rock. Trying to remove this and roll over.
Ingrid Thulin.
She was inside on this. She's going to hit it right on the nose.
You have to do a little running, a little sliding, front end. Forget the morning jog, you do the jogging here at the rink.
Did you jog this morning?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't either.
Diane Adams and her second stone.
I watched one of those. I caught something. I watched one of those exercise programs. Does that count?
Yeah, I work up a sweat watching those.
Turned out to be not a bad shot. It'll be a center guard.
But it did catch something, and they.
Oh, it definitely did.
Fortunately, she could maybe get them both off, Linda. That's the.
I think she's going for both with that turn. I think she's just going for one or the other. A lot of ice.
Ingrid Thulin. Got
the one she was going for.
It gives by taking that one off, it gives Lorraine or Heather a little more room to draw behind now. You don't have to go out so far.
So we talked about a rock just off center is the best guard for these shots.
It sure is.
Four tie. We're in the 10th end of this 11th round of the World Curling Championships.
23. Yeah. Line pick.
This will be the first stone for the Canadian third, Lorraine Lang, here in the 10th.
Come on! Quick!
This one's hanging a long time.
You're better off short than long here, Lorraine.
Four, 8. Back 12, and it stops in time.
Anywhere right there.
Well, with that rock sliding so far back, what Switzerland should do here is go up to that front guard and just take it right off.
I'm a guard back, mate, best.
That's what she's doing. That's the rock that's the danger.
Yeah, that's the danger of Lorraine being home. She knows it. Lorraine knows better than anybody else. That's the only thing she didn't want to be. Out in front was a good shot.
Barbara Meyer.
Well, she's worrying about driving this rock onto hers in the house, but the main thing is getting rid of the guard. If she'd swept it, she would have had a different angle, and the rock would have rolled off, too. I don't think she should have left that.
No, I agree with you.
That's what Barbara Meyer is saying. Why didn't you sweep it a little more? Exactly what Barbara Meyer was saying, Linda. Why didn't you sweep it a little bit more? And now Cristina trying to explain the angle that she saw to her.
Canada's looking for a good guard here.
With the second shot of Lorraine Lang.
Halfway. Right up. Right up.
The farther they bring it, the more it'll curl.
Okay, okay. Oh. Shot, okay. That's all.
Ray, let's update the women's game between France and Finland as they play the ninth end, and this is the final stone, Annick Mercier.
Well, a great hit, and she just catches the corner of this stone, doesn't lose her balance, and gets the second point. That right there, the one they're brushing, it hangs in the ring, so it's 2 points for France. They take a 1-point lead going home.
Boy, for the first time in the game, France moves ahead of Finland, but Finland will have the hammer in the 10th.
They're giving this a long look. They have a few choices. They could go after shot rock. They might be able to get a bit of a roll behind the center guard. Or they could go up and take off the one that's near the top of the house. She's really looking at the angles. I don't think I'd worry about the double takeout. She has to just get by that front rock and she'll have a good takeout.
Barbara Meyer. Second stone here in this 10th end of a 4-4 tie, Switzerland and Canada.
It's really curling.
Got it by, just by.
Good sportsmanship by both team members there. The Swiss girl knew that she was in the way, and she tried hard to get out of the way, and Lorraine was right in trying to jump in there. And then after it was over, it was, you heard Lorraine say, "I'm sorry that I bumped you."
That is.
Well, do you play the draw or the tap?
I think you get lots of movement, Linda. Is she, with that ice, though, it looks like she might be playing the tap back. Maybe she'll tell us.
Diane Adams making sure the path is clean before Heather Houston's first stone here in this 10th end.
She said she's playing the tap up.
Yeah.
23? Are you sure? I'm just going to throw 24 because I don't have to move
24 with sweeping will tap it. Top for 9.
Weight's good.
Weight's good. Line looks good from here. It's starting to move a lot, though. She catch it a bit on the outside. Don't curl too much.
Woo, Lorraine, wow!
Just curled too much, Linda.
Maybe a little bit light. It didn't push it very far.
Good point.
That's good weight, though.
If you add 4 feet more weight to that, then it's not going to curl quite that much either.
That's right.
Because they hammered that all the way.
Well, Cristina can hit this and B-shot rock. She probably liked just a little bit of a flop. She doesn't want to give Canada a chance to come around all those rocks again.
Actually, she hits it right in the nose and kills the back one on the way by.
Yeah.
Then she really makes it tough for Heather to get in. And if she rolls away, then you got the come around draw.
She was a little outside.
She got the big weight.
Well, she opted to roll away because she didn't feel that she'd have the shot she was going for the first time. This gives Canada a chance to come in through the hole.
Sure does. Our viewers have seen how much it curls here, and this is what Heather's going to play. She's going to come down in this area here, trying to get right in to top of the 4 foot, right about there. If she does, it'll be a very difficult shot for Switzerland.
Is that the better percentage shot than hitting and rolling over?
For sure, Vic. I mean, the path is there,
And if you hit and rolled, you'd only be at the front of the 8
Yeah.
foot.
It needs full 8 anyway, yeah?
and that red stone is a deterrent as well.
The final stone for Canada and Heather Houston here in this 10th end. Switzerland does have the hammer.
Good looking line.
Boy, it started to move a bit.
I think we need to sweep it for line. That was
Oh boy.
Right down the key.
There it is. She threw it through. And Switzerland will win it. 5-4, the final score. The draw weight, the problem for Heather Houston here in this game today. And Canada now with the loss, their record drops to 4-2. Switzerland is now 3-3. Let's update the men's game between Sweden and Scotland. 10th end action. We want to show you the last two stones. This is Thomas Norgren.
Thomas Norgren is playing down to the back one. He's got second and third shot, but it's a little too strong, and it just comes across the button area here, touches the shot rock, but rolls a little too far. They take a close look at it, and Scotland is lying 1, so Graham Adam now has a draw for 2. They stay with it all the way, across that hog line, top of the 12-foot. Here it comes, and it's a good draw, and we're now at an extra end as Graham Adam ties this up to go the extra.
Sweden and Scotland tied 5-5. And we quickly want to get into the game between France and Finland as they play the 10th end. This is Jana Jokela. France leading 6-5. France with a record of 4-1. Finland 0-5. And France currently lying to 1 back 8 foot and 1 top 12. And the stone will roll in. Will it get there for shot? No, it'll fall just a little short. And handshakes all around. It'll be a steal of 1 for France here in the 10th end. And it's now 7-5 is the final score. And I'm just waiting to see if there were any rocks hidden under those pieces of foil. To see if they're going to throw. I would think they'd throw their last stones here. But France has won it anyway. We'll update the score for you in just a second. They did. They stole 1, and it's a 7-5 final score as we go to the extra end between Sweden and Scotland, tied 5-5.
Well, there's been a nose hit in this game, and so that's all Graham Adam can ask for. He's got something out in front, and you just saw Thomas Norgren indicate, let's get these things off of there. The rocks are positioned, Linda, in this situation that if he hits this properly on the outside, you can see where the brush is, he could not only get rid of both of the stones, he could get rid of the shooter.
Has to hit it fairly thin.
Need about a quarter of the rock. Needs about a quarter, that's all, and he's close to it. Yes, sir!
And the player that threw it did a somersault when it made the shot.
Jan-Olof Nassayen, the third for Sweden.
Got pretty excited on that one.
Good call by Thomas Norgren, too, at the head. I mean, that's the kind of thing that wins games for you. And that was the danger in lining them up like that. I mean, obviously they didn't try to. Graham Adams didn't try to get him lined up like that. He was going behind it, but maybe that was Ken Norton's last shot.
So skip stones to come here in this extra end. 5-5 tie, Sweden, Scotland, and the Swedes do have the hammer. This is the first stone for the Scottish skip, Graham Adams, the 35-year-old doctor from Lockerbie.
I'm going to the far end to put number 4.
Has to hope to get something up in front.
For our Scottish viewers across the country, we'll get a chance to watch the Scottish team on Thursday night. Vic?
As they play Pat Ryan, and that'll be a very big game again for Ryan. I mean, things don't get any easier for him. He faced a big challenge in the game against Switzerland, who were undefeated, and he knocked off Patrick Hurleman from Lausanne. Just to update people that that France final was 7-5, France beating Finland, and that Mercier rink now from Mejev is 5-1. Finland drops to 0-6.
5-1. This is a big, big game for Sweden. They must win this one, keep their hopes alive. They're at 2-2. This, of course, would make them 3-2.
That last draw thrown by Heather Houston that sailed through, I mean, was she heavy, or because they just brushed it a little bit? Would that have made the difference?
She was heavy for sure, Vic, but it started to curl at the end, and it looked like she was going to wreck on the front stone, so they did brush it a little bit, but she just had overthrown it. And I guess in retrospect, either if she hit the broom, then she needed a little bit more ice. I think in that game, we go back to the conversation that Linda and I had about, you know, I think the 8th end was kind of a key, and I think at that point, Heather had to take a little run at, you know, the Swiss team and Cristina, and she just was a little reluctant. It may have been that she just didn't feel that she had to draw away. Then obviously she didn't have it because she didn't have it in the last end. But you know, there's no point waiting in those kind of. You're in the 8th end. You've got the hammer. You're 2 down. You better take a, you know, make a move.
Graham Adams and his second stone.
Well, all he can do with this, Vic, is put it someplace in the rings where he hope Thomas Norgren will hit it and roll out and get a chance at another extra end.
I'm curious why Graham wouldn't have maybe thrown it out towards the frost. He put it just in the edge of the forefoot.
Well, I think what you do in a situation like that is trying to find a spot where you think that maybe your opposition is weak, and you know, that's something that there's no right or wrong position.
Extra end, the final stone for Thomas Norgren, and the win, if he can hit and stick for one for Sweden.
Come in. We've got a stick here. Starting to curl
hold
a
it
bit.
up now. There's the hit. There's the roll. Will it go? Will it go? Will it go? No, it'll stop at the edge of the 12, and Sweden has their win 6-5 over Scotland. So with the win, Sweden has a record of 3-2, and Scotland lose their first 4-1, and now there are no undefeated rinks left in the Men's World Championship. We'll have more from the Mecca in Milwaukee when we come back.
You give your all to all you do. Don't settle for less from your shampoo. Wash and go First Blood.
To get great-looking hair, you don't need separate shampoo and conditioner. Get it together. In just one step, get your hair clean, more manageable.
There's one that does the work of two.
For manageability you can't get from shampoo alone.
Wash and go.
Shampoo.
Trina Trulson of Oslo, 10th end.
But it's all tied up coming home, and Trina Trulson is hitting a rock that just bites the top of the 12-foot at 2 o'clock, and she has to roll in, and she does, and she gets a 7-6 win.
Boy, oh boy, not much, but enough for the win, 7-6, and so Norway is now 5-1. Denmark is 1-5 in women's competition. The only game left is the USA and Germany. The USA leading 5-3 as they play in the 10th end, and Germany does have the hammer.
Well, Germany's down 5-3 coming home. He's trying a chip and roll to lie 2, and he makes it.
Oh,
what a good-looking shot.
From Fusen, gets one into the 12-foot at around 10 o'clock, and his shooter rolls in buried just off the center line.
Well, that's a great shot, and, you know, we talked about this game a little bit in its early ends, and I believe it was the second end that Roland Jens had a hit for 3, and he missed it and gave up a steal of a single point. So I'm sure he feels a little bit better after making that shot, that chip and roll. Opportunities in curling. You must take advantage of opportunities. You don't get them very often. It happens to everyone. It happens to all of us. You miss them, but boy, when you do, you just, you know, you could eat your heart out.
The U.S. rink skipped by Jim Vukic from the Seattle Granite Curling Club. This is his second trip to a World Championship. Last time we saw him was 1987 in Vancouver.
He had 5 wins in that event, and he hasn't got a win here yet.
No. 0-4 coming in. Germany 1-3. The final stone for the U.S. here in the 10th.
Looking for the hit and roll. He'd like to roll across to the 4-foot. Starting to move a little bit. Now, we don't know what the ice has been doing on this sheet, but they're pretty similar. And I think that Germany now has a draw for 2.
Yeah, I think so. That center line guard, that center line stone top 12 is the shot stone. Better look.
Roland Jens. I'm saying that correctly, am I?
Roland Jens, yeah.
Leave all the German to you, Vic. And Swiss.
Yeah,
and English.
My Swiss German's a little better, yeah.
Well, an extra N is looming here if Roland can just fold to the 12-foot.
Roland Jens from the Fusen Curling Club. His final stone.
The third brush is going up, and I think he should stay back.
Thomas Vogelsang, Charlie Kapp, Uli Suter all there. Then they back off, and yes, it'll just slide into the top of the 8. Boy, did it take a lot of work. And we'll go to an extra end. The USA and Germany now all tied up. It is 5-5. One game to go here in the 11th round. We'll finish this one when we come back to Milwaukee. Welcome back to the Mecca in Milwaukee and these World Curling Championships. The Canadian women go down to defeat, losing 5-4 to Switzerland, and Linda Moore is standing by with the Canadian lead and second, Tracy Kennedy and Diane Adams. Linda?
Tracy, that was a tough one. You were coming back at the end of the game. You had a chance in the last end, and the last draw just slipped through.
Yeah, that was a tough game to lose. I think that Switzerland curled really well, and we had our chances, but we just couldn't seem to make the shots to get to score the points when we needed them.
In the middle of the game, it looked like Heather was a little hesitant to get things going. For example, in the 8th, she had chances to draw in, and she elected to play some takeouts.
Yeah, I think the draw weight was really touchy. It was really keen, and you just couldn't seem to get it slow enough to you know, it was easy to sweep it right out of the back of the house. So I think she wanted to try and hit and stick around.
As a skip, it's really tough when things aren't going well. You don't have the draw weight, but it's also hard on the front end because you don't really know what to say to the skip.
I know, like, I don't know, we seem to be curling well. Heather's missing a few, you know, some of the key shots, but all you can say is, you know, let's go, let's win the rest of them, let's call it a day, and move on, that's all.
It is the last game for today. You just have the one, so you will have a chance to kind of regroup. Is your coach going to get you together and say anything, do you think?
Well, we'll probably go out for relaxing dinner tonight and talk a bit about the game and see maybe we can, I don't know, calm Heather down a bit. And she just has to get a little bit more confident that it is running 24, 25 seconds, and that's what we have to throw. And sweeping really does carry it a long way.
Well, Canada knows you can do it, so good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you to both of them. And we return to the only game left here in this 11th round of the World Curling Championships, the USA and Germany, playing an extra end, tied 5-5. Germany scoring 2 in the 10th, and the USA will have the hammer. Diane Adams made mention that the fact that Heather has to realize that this brushing will take the rock a long way, and maybe on the last stone of Roland Jensch, his draw for 2, we got an indication of just how far sweeping will take a stone.
Well, that's right. It's sweeping will. And it's one of those things that Linda and I talked about, Vic, is that you have to drive into your head that it is 20. You heard Diane Adams say it very clearly. It is 24-second ice, and you've got to, you know, give your sweepers a chance. And if you don't, you're missing them on the amateur side. Once you eliminate those sweepers, you're taking away a very big part of this game.
I think if we play cross face on it, she'll roll out and we'll still get the job.
Well, Germany got a nose hit here earlier in the end, Vic, so, you know, the U.S. is going to try and run it off or clear it off, take their own stone out of there. It's that rock sitting right on the center line that's causing the problem.
This is the U.S. reserve player. This is Jason Larway. He is playing today in place of the usual second, Bard Nordland. We haven't heard whether Bard was not feeling well or decided to make a change.
It's an open substitution rule. Denmark is using a different player each game, other than Tommy Stern. What a big game they won against Norway this morning. Look at this here. Well, it's not what the U.S. wanted, actually. There's an applause from the crowd, but that's not what they wanted, because that rock sits right on the center line, and it's still a perfect guard for Germany to get around. So, yeah, another inch, you get them both. The one you wanted to get, Jim, was the one out in front. You wanted to spill it off the front.
The German second is Charlie Kapp.
Keep that 4-foot open when you don't have last rock. Just a fundamental, but it's one that's so important in these kind of situations. Getting the back rock out wasn't a factor. The factor in that shot was to make sure you got that rock off the center line. The rock that was in the rings deck was behind the tee line. It had no bearing on the end whatsoever.
Could always play up to it.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, it's not blocking the 4-foot at all. The rock you wanted off was this long guard. And even even to think that you're trying to get them both, I think is a lack of experience in the game. I mean, I'm not suggesting that Jim was trying to get them both. I'm just saying that the main concern here was to get that one off. This is what you want to do now. A little chance to get them both. You hit it just on the outside. He's taking a little time to line it up now.
Let's play the double up. Where do you want to come? Yeah, cross face? All right.
Jason Larway, an 18-year-old in his first World Championship.
Just curled a little too much. Uli Suter.
We saw this Yench team in '86 in Toronto. That was their last World Championship appearance, and it has remained the same, consistent since then.
And their record is a little disappointing too, Vic. I would have thought they would play it a little better than this. They're 1 win and 3 losses at this stage.
Well, it's the same for the U.S. I mean, it's 0-4, considering the way they played in, as you mentioned, in Vancouver. It's a tough week for Jim Vukic of Seattle.
You know, both these teams are out of contention potentially to make the round robin, or the semifinals, you should say. Not completely out of it. I mean, 4 losses might hang in there, but it's a tough road to hoe. But there's also at stake here another factor, and that's that the bottom 2 teams of this event, of course, are subject to being challenged by the countries that are out in the wings waiting. So you don't like to finish 9th or 10th.
And you talk about countries who are outside these championships right now, countries such as England. Curtis Fish.
Great shot. That's what you're looking for right there.
Spills them both and opens up that center line. And Roland Yench, you see him give that rock just a slap as he put it back into the corner. He knew what a great shot. So everything wide open, but they're, countries like Australia, Austria, Holland presently.
The Finnish men aren't here. The English men aren't here.
That's right.
Japan.
So countries like that would then go into a challenge round and for the 2 spots in next year's World Championship. Well, he pulled a string on this.
He really started to move across. It may have caught something, in fairness to him, because it looked like it was okay when he let it go, but it just curled like crazy.
Jim Vukic on the left, and Curtis Fish is third. A reminder, the Stanley Cup playoffs begin tonight on TSN. You'll be able to see the Pittsburgh Penguins and Mario Lemieux go against the New York Rangers, Game 1 of their Patrick Division semifinal, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TSN. And then right after the Stanley Cup playoffs, you'll see coverage from here in Milwaukee as Canada and Pat Ryan plays this Jim Vukic rink from Seattle. Curtis Fish, the U.S. third, and his second stone on the nose and rolls to the center line.
I'm surprised at the way he was playing that off. I mean, what we do usually is most teams will play to hit them on the outside, the shooter then going to the boards and driving across. But in both cases, now, Jim has been playing them by coming across the face. You don't see that often, Dick.
Is it just something that he may have gotten used to?
Well, I guess, once again, it's so easy to stand up here and second guess all these situations, but we haven't been following the sheet of ice. But normally, you'll see that they'll play coming, if they're coming into the stone like that, they want to hit it on the outside, the shooter goes to the boards, and the rocky hit goes the other way. That's the normal way of doing it, but you could see where he was holding his broom, and it looked like he was playing it across the face of it.
The first stone from the German skip. This is Roland Yench in a 5-5 tie, extra end, and the U.S. will have last rock. Now it's coming, he says. Uli Suter.
It's your game.
See, there's certain things about the just dialect changes. It's sometimes difficult to pick up. Some things are quite similar. Puts it into the back of the 8-foot.
Jim's first stone. Well, he better make it.
Want to follow this one right down on top of it?
I think if Linda was here with his right at this very moment, I think she would say, and I certainly think he should be running off the front one, but he's decided that it's a long guard. If he gets in there first, then he can, by Roland slipping behind that tee line, he's decided to try and win it right here with this shot here. Get to it first. Looks like he's got a lot of weight to me.
Taps it back and out, and he sits at the back of the 8-foot. Jim Vukic from Seattle looking to pick up his first win here in these men's championships.
Well, in fairness to Jim, if he'd, if he had run the front one off and Roland had put one in front of that stone that was at the back of the 4-foot, or back of the 8-foot, and he put it right in the top of the 8-foot or top of the 4-foot, then he would have had a very difficult shot. But as it stands here, if Roland Jensch gets around this guard, and it certainly comes enough, he gets it to the top of the 4-foot, then it's going to make Jim's shot a little bit more difficult. The nice thing for Jim Vukic is a very, very long guard. So in other words, there's lots of movement for your stone after you get by it.
The final stone for Germany and Roland Jensch here in this extra end. The USA does have the hammer in a 5-5 tie. Keep it clean.
He's got lots of weight. I think he's got lots of weight. It's not moving like the other one did. It's not going to be fully buried. I don't.
Back 4 and right on top of it.
Jim has the same draw, though. It's behind the tee line, so he doesn't have to move it anywhere. It was one of those stones that stayed out a long time. If it hadn't stayed out so far, you could have kind of left it and then hoped to get it a little more behind the guard. And
so that's a great indication. Look where he's putting. Now look where the stone is. Look where the brush is. That's 4 feet. Huh?
Let's, and let's repeat what we said earlier in the program, is that, maybe the draw 1 and draw 2, the ice was, draw 1, it was awful. Draw 2, it came around, but the ice here now is excellent. Lots of movement and lots of rocks in play, so we're going to get lots of entertainment. And
a game on the line here for the USA final stone of this extra end, and Jim Vukic of Seattle looking to win his first.
He's got the path. Looks pretty good to me. It should come at the end. Here it comes. Yes, sir.
Right up on top.
Good
right
job.
Up on top is where they want it. There it is. And the U.S. has won their first game of these World Championships by a score of 6-5 over Germany. So the U.S. is now 1-4, and Germany is now 1-4 as well. Now it's time for the TSN Turning Point. And of course, it's brought to you by Mita. When was it, Ray?
He comes in the 6th end, Vic, when the Swiss skip makes a great double. Lorraine Lang slipped a little too far into the ring. She gets by this front rock, and here it is, 1 and 2, and that's the turning point of this game.
And Switzerland went on to beat Canada 5-4 the final. A cash donation will be made to amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Mita. At Mita, all they make are great copiers and long-distance copiers. Let's take a look at the men's standings. Scotland, Switzerland now tied for the top 4-1. No unbeaten rinks left. Then it's Norway, Denmark, Sweden, all 3-2. Canada, Pat Ryan, and France, along with Italy, all 2-3. And Germany and the USA at 1-4. We'll have more when we return to the Mecca in Milwaukee in just a minute. All the final scores now in the 11th round of these World Curling Championships. In the men's side, it was Sweden beating Scotland. That was an extra end win. And USA over Germany, also in an extra end, 6-5 as the U.S. wins their first. In ladies, 11.